To put it in very personal terms for a moment, Joe Biden, me, I would settle for a world in which I could worry about the same kinds of things that my parents worried about, in which I only had to worry about the grades my children got in school rather than the drugs they're being exposed to, in which I only had to worry about the prices my wife had to pay at the supermarket instead of fearing that she might get mugged by a junkie in the parking lot as she loads her groceries into the car.
He didn't say this today.
Tonight, I could call my mom just to wish her pleasant dreams, not for the purpose of making sure she's safe in her own home. That's the kind of world I want.
Prescient.
That's the kind of world you deserve. In a nutshell, the president's plan doesn't include enough police officers to catch the violent thugs, not enough prosecutors to convict them, not enough judges to sentence them, and not enough prison cells to put them away for a long time. We disagree with the president's decision to cut back on our previous commitment to protect against drugs coming across the border, to cut the Customs Service, the Coast Guard, and the Border Patrol.
By the way, do you notice how bad his stutter is? I mean, it's just terrible. He's always had a stutter. I can barely understand what he's saying.
We think we should do more to stem the flow of drugs across our borders, and we think we should go one step further. Let's go after the drug lords where they live, with an international strike force. There must be no safe haven for these narco-terrorists.
None.
And they must know it. And we don't have to promise a world without worry or fear. We're not asking for that much. All we have to do together
secure our borders,
is to keep our promises and stay together. Thank you.
That's part one in this act of the Overton window shifting in real time. Let's go to part two, shall we? Part two, where is he? Inciting the erection. Chuck Schumer. Where is Chuck Schumer? I have it in the back here somewhere. No. What the heck? I had Chuck Schumer in the back. This one right here. This is here. The part two in this play.
We must create a system that converts the current flow of primarily low-skilled illegal immigrants into the United States into a more manageable and controlled flow of legal immigrants who can be absorbed by our economy.
Interesting.
Let me elaborate.
Please do.
The first of these 7 principles is that illegal immigration is wrong. Plain and simple.
What did you just say?
Is that illegal immigration is wrong, plain and simple.
Didn't understand what you
Until the American people are convinced that we will stop future flows of illegal immigration, we will make no progress on dealing with the millions of illegal immigrants who are here now and on rationalizing our system of legal immigration. That's plain and simple and unavoidable.
What happened? This was 2009? Well, 14 years ago. Wait a minute. 15 years ago. It's amazing how the world can change.
Use phrases like undocumented workers. We convey a message to the American people that their government is not serious about combating illegal immigration.
Testify.
Which the American people overwhelmingly oppose.
Indeed, they do. I'm so nervous that this is actually just AI generated fake video. That, it's impossible that barely 15 years ago, this is what Joe Biden might have been a little earlier than that, but Chuck Schumer, inciting the erection dude, said these things. It still feels, I'm watching this and I say, someone's going to tell me that I just fell for an AI generated video and Chuck Schumer never said the exact opposite of what the American government is saying and doing today.
Think it's illegal? You're not going to say it. I think it is illegal and wrong, and we have to change it. Above all else, the American people want their government to be serious about protecting the public, enforcing the rule of law, and creating a rational system of legal immigration that will proactively fit our needs rather than reactively responding to future waves of illegal immigration.
Oh, no, but Viva. Don't you see, you bastard? They're not illegal immigrants anymore. Now they're all asylum seekers, coming from Venezuela, South America. They're all asylum seekers. There's no such thing as an illegal immigrant anymore. So therefore the term shall be put into retirement.
People who enter the United States without our permission are illegal aliens, and illegal aliens should not be treated the same as people who entered the U.S. legally. To the advocates for strong, fair, effective, comprehensive immigration reform, and I'm certainly one,
until you became open border, invade the country so long as we could secure their vote in the future.
That the American people will never accept immigration reform unless they truly believe that their government is committed to ending future illegal immigration. And any successful, comprehensive immigration reform bill must recognize this fact.
Can you understand? It's not dereliction of duty anymore. It is causing a catastrophe to cause your country to be destroyed, period. And it gets worse. I mean, this is, I'm putting this together. It's like, we're watching the Overton window not shift in real time. We're watching it disintegrate in real time. Do we need it? We don't need to hear him not saying Lake and Riley's name again. Where's the one that I wanted to bring up here? Yeah, listen to this one. Listen to this. This is beautiful. He looks a little different here, but he really looks like Beavis and Butthead here.
Can you scare an employer in this country, whether he's an agricultural worker or a housewife, into not hiring an illegal because the punishment's so high that if you get caught,
yes,
it's a huge embarrassment to your family, and you may just get hit with a fine that'll kill you.
Yeah, absolutely, you can, and that's what we should do. Well, I think we should do that
because you can't catch everybody.
You can't. No, you can't. And the last part of this is that the Democratic position also recognized you got 11 million illegal aliens here. They have to have a way to earn their way into the deal. This is an amnesty. They're required to take 11 years worth. They pay a fine. They got to learn to speak English. They got to pass
I like the English part.
Yeah.
I like the English part. I think if we want the problems of Canada right now, keep encouraging people to keep their foreign language. English is going to unite this country potentially. It always has in the past.
I can't think of a country that has two languages as their accepted languages that is doing all that well, including Switzerland and or Canada.
It divides us.
Yeah.
Can you scare an employer?
I'll tell you, I can tell you that I disagree with him on Canada, but that's only because they're idiots and they don't actually understand the linguistic dynamic in Canada. But set that aside. That was, illegal aliens, undocumented. No, there was no undocumented rubbish. Is this the one? There's just one more. There's just one more. We're going to just imagine what we just saw there. Fines. Serious, comprehensive immigration. You can't have illegal immigrants coming here. You can't treat them the same as those who followed the rules to get here. You can't trust a government that's not hard on enforcing the borders of its country. And where are we today? Where are we today? First of all, look at this demented, he's a demon. He's a demented demon's face. Look at this guy's face. After he doesn't even doesn't say Lake and Riley's name properly. And I'm going to get into the Associated Press article after. Listen to this demonic man now.
I noticed the look of surprise on your face when you walked into the chamber and you saw Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. It was priceless. You feigned shock at seeing her. But during your response to her heckling of you,
we're talking about dead woman, right?
Illegal.
Who got murdered
when
by
talking
illegal
about
immigrants?
the man who allegedly killed Lake and Riley.
An undocumented person. And I shouldn't have used illegal. It's undocumented. And look, when I spoke about the difference between Trump and me, one of the things I talked about on the border was that the way he talks about vermin, the way he talks about these people polluting the blood.
Look at this guy's eyes. Look at it. Just look at these eyes.
I talked about what I'm not going to do, what I won't do. I'm not going to treat any of these people with disrespect. Look, they built the country. The reason our economy is growing. We have to control the border and more orderly flow, but I don't share his view at all.
So you regret using that word?
Yes.
I noticed the look of surprise on your face when you.
What can you possibly say? I don't want to show them any disrespect. God forbid you should show an alleged murderer disrespect. And I'm sorry, what is the disrespectful part in calling someone who crossed the border into a foreign country illegally an illegal immigrant, an illegal alien? What's the disrespect in that? Don't disrespect me and call me a speeder just because I got a ticket for going above the speed limit. Don't disrespect me and said I broke the law just for breaking the law. You went from hard on illegal immigration, enforcing the laws, making sure our parents are safe so you can call them up and wish them a happy night instead of checking to see how they're doing, to I don't want to disrespect the illegal immigrant alien who allegedly murdered an American citizen. I don't want to disrespect them. Holy cows. And then getting into the, I know that many of you have already heard this, getting into the SCOTUS debacle, which should be screamed from the rooftops. Dereliction of duty, impeachable offenses, and just overall inhumane immorality.
Political win. He viewed it as a political win for me and a political loser for him.
It's a stutter again. Don't make fun of it.
It's not about him. It's not about me. I'd be a winner. Not really.
Say it. Use that thing, Michigan. I got something here.
Lincoln
Riley. Twice. Lincoln
Riley. An innocent
Riley.
young woman who was killed by an illegal.
He came out and apologized for having said killed by an illegal. Can you imagine what that must feel like to be Laken Riley's family? And by the way, the button that he's holding up, he doesn't say that Marjorie Taylor Greene gave him that button. He makes it look like he came with that button out of an act of thoughtfulness. Lincoln Riley. Say your name. Lincoln Riley. Killed by an illegal. I'm so sorry I called her alleged murderer an illegal. I don't want to be disrespectful to illegal alien alleged murderers. Please don't cancel me, you tyrannical lynch mobs of the left. Oh, but don't worry. Don't worry, by the way, because he's got the backing. He's got the backing of the legacy media. Associated Press came out and wrote an article. And they wrote in the article, he got heckled by Marjorie Taylor Greene. They said, say her name. He held up the white button and said, Laken Riley. And I nailed them and I roasted them and I took to Twitter and said, you guys are the scum of the earth liars. He didn't say Laken, you put it in quotes. He said Lincoln Riley. And then after I put them on blast on Twitter, they deleted the article, they deleted their tweet, updated the article, and added this paragraph of fiction. But he mispronounced her first name, so it sounded more like Lincoln to some. And the GOP critics instantly pounced. It's our fault for noticing that the demented old demon didn't even get her name right. And then we didn't know that this was going to happen the day of, but we could have predicted it a day and a half later. Apologizes to the alleged murderer, illegal alien. They added a paragraph of pure fiction to the article because the original didn't say that, and they deleted this tweet. Scum of the earth. I mean, don't call them names. You got to be polite with them. You've got to rationalize with them. You've got to explain to them why they are doing what they know is fundamentally immoral and unconscionable. The Associated Press makes a lie and publishes it, gets called out on it, deletes it, and then adds a paragraph of pure fiction to spin the naked emperor to make it look like he's wearing clothing. Oh no, you see what you were seeing there was not his shriveled up ding dong. That was he was wearing a tapestry that looks just like a shriveled up ding dong. He's not naked, moron. What you see as him being naked, it's a beautiful tapestry. Only the kings of kings get it. Holy hell. Where's my blood pressure machine? Good evening, everybody. It is Sunday night, so it's time for Sunday Night with Viva and Barnes. You've just witnessed the Overton window shifting in real time. We're living through absolute insanity, where good is bad, bad is good, up is down, down is up, left is right, and right is left. Don't dare apply the law to illegal immigrants who cross the border illegally. They're undocumented. Undocumented what exactly? It's a serious question. And I'm not even comparing this to myself like, oh, it's so hard for me, it's so expensive for me. No, it's a privilege to be allowed into a foreign country. Undocumented what? Undocumented citizen? Undocumented voter? So is that to say like, oh, these people who broke the law, crossed into a country illegally, are given more benefits than people who were born here? They're undocumented what exactly? I think we all know the answer to that question. Not breathe. All right. Good evening. So now for those of you who are new to the channel, because there's a lot of you, I'm telling you, now I understand YouTube is using the Fani Willis debacle, as interesting as it is. And YouTube is using it as a distraction. I can see it. They don't want people talking about Lake and Riley. They don't want people talking about direct the traffic, direct the algorithm to promote the debacle of Fani Willis, which is good in and of itself because it means she's going down. But I see it. Mike is fine and always fix your own gear. Mike is fine and always fine. Fix your own gear. No, I know my mic is fine because I actually was listening to it as we were going live. So for those of you who are new to the channel, Viva Frei, live free. David Freiheit is my real name. Freiheit means freedom in German. Nomen es Omen. We start on YouTube, Rumble, and vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Barnes comes and joins. LA late, as we say, but he lets me do the intro rant, the sponsors of the evening, because we have 2 tonight. I'll get to them in a second. And then we end on YouTube, and we take our feet, our eyes, and our dollars over to the free speech platform, Rumble. When the stream is over, because we get to an end of the stream, we go over to our vivabarneslaw.locals.com community, and we answer some chats, $5 and up, and we have our wonderful after party because the locals community is magnificent and fantastic. Biden's newcomers equals great replacement. Oh no, but that's a racist theory. It's a racist theory if you assume that all immigrants are of a specific race or of a minority race. It is not a conspiracy theory. It's politics in action, and we're seeing it in real time. Not just in America either, in Canada as well. You want to double the population within 80 years? That's called replacement. Replacement through dilution. It's a political replacement, not a racial one. So anybody says you're racist, Viva, for promoting that racist theory, kiss my bottom. It's not a racial theory. It's not even a nationalistic theory. It's a political theory, and it's being implemented in real time. Let in tens of millions of illegal immigrants, impact the census, the way you count seats, and then fast track them to citizenships, and then see what happens. You don't have to convince people to vote for you anymore. You could actually just say, boo to you, I'm going to import new votes. And before you know it, they're going to have kids. They're going to impact senses. And I don't need your vote because I've diluted your vote through a political replacement. Bada bing. All right. So tonight we got a good show. Let me see here. We're live across the webs. I didn't even check. We're over 10,000. We're at 11,000 on Rumble already. Magnificent. On Rumble, not on Rumble, on vivabarneslaw.locals.com, we're at 1,241. Link to locals. Come over to locals. It's fantastic. It's $10. But I'm going to get to the super chats, these things right here in a bit after I do the sponsors. But if you want to support the channel, the most cost-effective, fun way to do it, $10 a month, or you get an entire year at $100. vivabarneslaw.locals.com. We got merch at Viva Frei, and we got Rumble rants on Rumble, super chats on YouTube. Bear in mind, 30% of this goes to YouTube. Go to Rumble, 100% of it goes to the creator. And if you go to vivabarneslaw.locals.com, you get a wonderful community, tons of exclusive stuff, and then tons of stuff that's open for everybody. Okay, before we even get into that, hold on one second. We got to go here. We're going here. We have 2 sponsors for tonight, and both are good. Everybody, look at this. I used to say, like, gold, there's a form of idolatry to gold, but the bottom line is also, if you don't idolize gold, it's an investment that has not thus far over the long run not yielded beneficial results. Bitcoin, I know people are onto Bitcoin. I still don't trust anything that I can't hold in my hand or hide in my butt. Gold can be hidden in your butt, although I'm told that's the first place they look for it, so you got to be more creative. But bottom line, central digital bank currency is coming and could replace your dollars with digital currency. With it could come surveillance of our lives, freezing of assets, and government control over bank accounts and how we spend our own money. Anybody has any doubts about that, I invite you to Canada. Look north of the border, people. Americans want to protect their liberty and privacy, need to prepare themselves for what's to come. That's why many Americans are turning to physical gold and silver to diversify their wealth. I got one. Like, I'll start small. Hold on. I'll show it to you afterwards. I got one beautiful coin. I got the Queen Elizabeth, just to, homage to the Queen. You got to get over to, hold on one second. PreserveGold.com. I lost my train of thought there, getting distracted thinking about getting it. PreserveGold.com. You can get solid gold, solid silver, which is the more cost effective, but gold, for whatever the reason, seems to not lose value and gain value better than silver, but whatever. PreserveGold.com /Viva. They'll explore the right options for you to help with the process to have physical gold and silver delivered right to your door. They can roll over your 401k IRA into qualified retirement accounts. It's easy. It's also nice just to hold a little gold coin. Triple B accredited with 0 consumer complaints and hundreds of satisfied customers. They're also a founding member of the Precious Metals Association, so you know you're in good hands. And as an exclusive offer for Viva Fry, they'll give you up to $10,000 in free gold and silver with a qualifying purchase or retirement account rollover. They will even throw in an immediate $500 account credit if you request your investor guide today. Go visit preservegold.com/Viva to get your free gold and silver investment guide. Take the first steps towards protecting your wealth and your health for that matter. preservegold.com/Viva. Now, why did I get distracted? Hold on, get this out of here. This is why. Oh, I got one treasure. The Queen, right there. Preserve gold, people. It's like, well, I would say if you get a kilo of gold, it's like holding a Bitcoin, but who the hell can do that? Oh gosh, all the links are in the pinned comment as well. Now, second sponsor of the evening, then this one's close to home. It's Rumble, people. Don't get parlored. The bottom line, don't get parlored. I got to figure out how things work here. Hold on one second. Figure out how my flipping computer works. Cancel that. Here we go. Got to go to that thing. Share screen, and I'm looking for this. Don't get parlored, people. I don't even know that people know. It's like Chris has been tweeting out, Chris Pavlovsky, the CEO of Rumble, that Rumble is offering cloud services. So you don't have to rely on Amazon Web Services. You don't have to rely on, politically motivated hacks who might from one day to the next shut you down. Now, it's in the early stages. It's getting started, and there's an exclusive offer for Rumble friends. If you're tired of the cloud services you see every month from, where do you get them? iCloud, whatever. Our friends at Rumble have done it again. The new Rumble cloud services are coming this spring. It's going to be amazing, by the way, because Rumble is not just going to be a video hosting platform. It's going to be something that allows people to create a parallel economy and get away from the Amazon Web Service dependence, reliance on our enemy, people who effectively are acting against our best interests. Rumble has built the cloud for parallel economy. Disruptive Rumble cloud pricing model will blow away the big tech clouds with big savings and more predictable budgeting. And like Rumble Video, you don't have to worry about cancellation on Rumble Cloud. Remember what happened to Parler. Don't get Parler, people. Exclusive for friends of Rumble. Sign up today at friends.rumble.cloud. Receive 30% off for your first 3 months of your cloud computing subscription, which will be available for purchase later this quarter. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. So I'll give everybody the link there. Rumble, what did I say the link was called? Rumble, friends.rumble.cloud. It's in the pinned comment anyhow, because my memory is not what it used to be, and I blame the kids. Link to cloud. So that's it. Thank you to the 2 sponsors. And now let's get link to cloud. There, bada bing, bada boom. And Barnes is popping in the back, going to fix up his lighting. I'm going to read some super chats. It looks like you and I were wrong about Biden being sidelined by the DNC in favor of someone else. It looks like he's going all the way to a big fat lose. Cheryl Gage, it's not over yet. I don't want to say anything because like every fear hides a wish, and I don't also want to wish ill on people. I'm sticking to my original prediction. I've noticed that a number of people in the legacy media hackery of the media are now saying, oh, we would love it if Kamala Harris took over. When the media starts telling you something that's what people are saying, it's not what people are saying. It's what they want people to say. So pay attention now that you're going to notice legacy lying media saying, oh, we would be so happy if Kamala Harris would take over. That's because they want Americans to think that. Not only do they get free housing and food stamps, more than Americans, but now I hear that they get unlimited free air travel within the U.S. on Delta Airlines. Where do I sign up to being illegal? I wonder if that was from KC985. I wonder if Biden or Pelosi showed any, quote, respect, end quote, towards the animal who bludgeoned Paul Pelosi with a hammer. Viva, my cousin Jacob Pratt is currently in surgery. He is the lone survivor of the National Guard helicopter crash on the Texas border. NG from Albany, New York. Pray for him, please. I will. Bordeaux drinks Bordeaux. Okay. It feels like we're close to a tipping point where people who were buying into these lies just can't take it anymore. But how close do you think? Bongino's been asking the question. InfemDA, hey, Dave, can you please explain the linguistic dynamic in Canada and how it doesn't contribute to division? It does in Quebec, but not throughout Canada. I'll do it tomorrow during a separate stream. Viva, what do you say is true? Search UN replacement migration. It's official UN document about migration replacing population, literally. Literally, not Rachel. How can Bragg connect federal into state charges? Dude, don't make sense of it. Does Rumble Cloud support Kubernetes or Lambadas? Dude, you know what? I think that's a joke, but because I don't get it, I'm just going to screen grab it and send it over to Chris afterwards. Okay, Barnes is in the house. Let's bring him in. Let's make sure the audios. I made sure the audios are leveled, but Barnes is going to come in either hot, but he always comes in hot. Hot with knowledge. Barnes, 3, 2, 1. Bada bing, bada boom. Sir, how goes the battle?
How goes it?
Good. You look good. I don't know why you look good.
Sweet. Yeah. I got my original lighting is all kind of gone at the moment. So
hey, I noticed something. But Barnes, you got one too.
Yes, it's one of our board members, I believe.
The Book on Masks, people, your comprehensive guide to the manipulative psychology, malformed philosophy, and misrepresented science that supercharged a global hysteria by Philip Buckler. By the way, my wife actually started reading it. I want everybody to know I get a lot of books. I cannot read them, so I get my wife, if she wants to. She reads them and then gives me the Cole's Notes version. She said it's amazing, by the way. Phil Buckler, DDS.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I think we may make some cameos in the book, if I recall, if I got that right. But yeah, so cool get a gift from a member, so that was cool. And huge book too. If you're gonna do a big book, you might as well make it physically a big book. So like that too.
What was the other one that you had to that further side of it? Was there another one in there?
Oh no, that's it for tonight.
And Cigar Barnes, what do you got?
I don't know. I was out with. I had an interesting weekend. Here on Friday there was a conference, Vaccine Safety Research Foundation, sponsored by Steve Kirsch. Was there making a presentation, being part of a panel. Then was at a fundraising dinner for Robert Kennedy. There are multiple members of our board, vivabarneslaw.locals.com. They're at the fundraiser as well. So that was cool. Met with a fascinating crowd of people. Bobby Kennedy was gracious as always. And his wife has a great reputation in Hollywood, which is rare in Hollywood. And I see why. She spends all the time finding something to compliment in other people. I honestly have never been around somebody prominent, famous, wealthy celebrity who spends all their time figuring out something nice to say about everyone else in the room. I was struck by that. The Bobby's always great. The fascinating crowd, fascinating audience, fascinating everything. Met up with Warner Mendenhall and Brooke Jackson, who are in town. And then later on, had cigars with Dr. Steve Turley, who has a big YouTube channel and Rumble channel and social media presence. Did an interview with him last week on Amos Miller. We were discussing different aspects. One thing we're going to do is change the branding of Free America Law Center, which nobody could remember the name of for the last three years. And we'd be like, what's the name of that again? So it will stay Free America, the organizational entity and all that. But we're going to rebrand it to 1776 Law. And I'm like, that's got to be more memorable. But I hope that no one will forget that. It's also easier to brand, like the merchandise people were like, that's a lot of words you got on there. And I'm like, okay, so let's make 1776 Law Center. Nice eagle. There you go. We're going to be starting the Patrick Henry Society for anybody who's interested, but particularly for students, law students, but undergrad students, anyone else, to kind of be the populist version of the Federalist Society. So going to be starting that. Got a lot of merch going out to people, and it's going to be going out to people in support of Amos Miller's case. You hear 1776 Law, and you kind of know what it's about. It's going to be a real freedom in America. Free financial freedom, food freedom, political freedom, health freedom, you name it, real freedom, old school freedom. Politico has an army. We're really breaking through thanks to all the different independent media, thanks to the members of our board. The people tag in Vivek every day. Hey, what about Amos Miller? It'd be great if you talked about Amos Miller. Politico, of all places, the establishment publication, wrote a big piece this weekend on how the politics of raw milk is changing. That's the level we're getting through. There's a certain presidential candidate who's still asleep at the wheel, and his name is Donald John Trump. And the Bobby Kennedy gets it. Trump instead is busy telling everybody how great it is he did the COVID vaccine during the State of the Union speech. He was so embarrassed and by everybody on the truth board telling him, what the heck are you doing, that he deleted his own truth statement, his own tweet. But a lot of people around him are still incompetent, and he is, he's AWOL on Amos Miller. He's AWOL on Julian Assange. He's AWOL on Edward Snowden. We'll talk about Brooke Jackson case. He's AWOL on that. And this is the statement he made. And let's be honest, sometimes you got to give Trump constructive criticism. And right now, he needs a little bit of constructive criticism.
Well, I think I did it respectfully and in a way that it's a long tweet. But the bottom line, I said to him, I'll share with everybody else. Say, first of all, you can't ignore this. You can't, in as much as you love him and you want him to get.
The vaccine was a disaster. I get you. They lied to you for it. You made a beautiful contract. The Defense Department contract required delivery of a safe, effective vaccine for the prevention of COVID-19. They delivered something that was dangerous, ineffective, not a vaccine, and didn't prevent COVID-19. In fact, they deliberately, and Fizer and Moderna, sabotaged your 2020 presidential campaign by delaying the release of it until after Election Day. So you owe them nothing. And I get your ego got attached because they suckered you. They rolled you by saying only you could get this vaccine done so fast, Mr. President. But these are the same people that, like Deborah Birx and Anthony Fauci, who are now writing books bragging about how they rolled you. Bill Barr, Mike Pompeo, writing books bragging about how they rolled you. This is not something to be proud of, Mr. President. So he needs to wake up, or there's going to be more people supporting Bobby Kennedy, and deservedly so. As I've told people who are worried about Bobby Kennedy's effect on Trump, that's all up to Trump. If Trump runs a crap campaign, he will deserve to lose. It will be up to Trump. Trump can embrace these issues. Trump can embrace Julian Assange and Ed Snowden and Amos Miller and Brooke Jackson and correctly critique Bill Gates and Anthony Fauci and Deborah Birx and Mike Pompeo and Bill Barr. It's up to Trump to do so. So far, he's failing to do so. And the only way he'll correct that is if his own supporters say, hold on a second.
Just to point that out is it's not hard. Well, I guess to steel man why he's doing it. He sees Biden saying, we're going to use this technology and cure cancer, which is what he said in 2020.
This vaccine are causing, by the way.
Yeah, well, that's the sick and twisted irony. Is they're going to use mRNA technology to cure cancer that some people think is being caused by
Bobby Kennedy's point. He goes, the reason why Big Pharma likes making products that don't work is because it demands you get more products that don't work. Or potentially do work. They create their own demand. And the best way for Donald Trump to compete with Bobby Kennedy is not to attack him on grounds that very few Kennedy voters care about. His environmentalism, his position on democratic traditional policies. Rather embrace the issues they do care about. There's no reason why Trump can't be on the board of re-examining vaccine immunity. Credit to Congressman Chip Roy, who introduced legislation this week in Congress saying it's time to remove immunity from all these COVID vaccine makers. Credit to Congressman Thomas Massey, who right now they're trying to stick vaccines through our food supply, through our plant supply. Why do they want to run control of the Amos Millers of the world? So they can stick all kinds of crap in our food, including electronic surveillance that they're trying to push through with the cattle bill right now, under the guise of omnibus legislation, that our wuss legislator, who gives a bad name to the state of Louisiana, Speaker Mike Johnson, is getting rolled just like Trump got rolled by Paul Ryan and the like. And it's time to call these folks out where they need to be called out so they can get on a corrective path, so they can be better and do better. And people that push back, like some people are pushing back against us, saying, how dare you question Trump? Not questioning Trump got us the lockdowns. Not questioning Trump got us the vaccines. Not questioning Trump got us the Bill Barrs and Mike Pompeos. Not questioning Trump got us the disaster of the 2020 election. Not questioning Trump got us January 6th. So you don't help Trump by not questioning Trump. There's ways to do it constructively, like your tweet did. Like Brett Weinstein, some of his points are, but by being silent, you hurt Trump.
was going to say that the blueprint is there. It's I understand he wants to take credit for what is promised as the technology of mRNA, but the blueprint is there. They lied to him. They lied to us. They falsified the data, and it should be investigations into them, not touting this, which nobody likes it at this point. Even the left. I don't know what the uptake of the booster is. It's like that. It's single digits and low single digits.
Low single digits. I mean, that tells you what people really think about it. If they thought this drug was the greatest drug known to man, that was going to cure cancers, that was going to cure disease, that was going to help save their kids, then unless you're Keith Olbermann, unless you're one of those people, you don't have 20 booster shots, right? 95% of America has no interest in this. 98% of the world has no interest in this. The only people who are interested in this, transitioning to our first case of the night, are the vaccine injured. And the people that lost their jobs, lost their a wide range of educational and employment opportunities because of the discrimination related to the vaccine. People who've been disabled because of the vaccine. People know people who have died because of the vaccine. And the lead advocate for them is Brooke Jackson. The lead case that could recover monies for them is her whistleblower case, False Claims Act case against Fizer. And we got some news on that this week.
Okay, so give us the menu first. Then we're going to do that. But what do we have on the menu more broadly?
All right, we got an update on the Amos Miller case. We got the first Rust verdict is in. We got, as you've been updating throughout the week, the big Fani, the news that just doesn't go away. And shock, more corruption scandals keep coming out every which direction. We got the omnibus clause leading to a reversal of big legislation that had been passed by Congress. We got a border wall construction case. By the way, both of those cases led by Attorney General Paxton from Texas, who also had big wins on election law by replacing the criminal court judges in Texas. Paxton is showing what Trump should be doing, how to organize a full populist movement to change the Texas legislature, to change the Texas judiciary. He's winning. He's showing what Trump should be doing, but failing to do. But he can use that as an example. I'm a Baptist, so I believe in deathbed conversions. There's still time for El Jefe. The age verification win against porn sites, also by Attorney General Paxton. Big win for Trump that we might have been predicting on the Supreme Court ballot case. Another big win in the Supreme Court taking up presidential immunity. We have an interesting little Supreme Court case that someone who's following my advice about we need a lot more constitutional challenges to these Supreme Courts and state bars and the way they run the state bar, as a Supreme Court petition filed on that issue. And a little undertold case, undercovered story of a Honduran president who is convicted. It might have some hush-hush implications. Just like I had planned on getting out of hush-hush last week about the Octopus Netflix film and one of the subcomponents of that. It got a little delayed because a range of topics came up this weekend, a little bit unexpected, but that will be up. But there'll be some connected to this Honduran presidential candidate, or actual former president as well. So fascinating, and a little extra Binance case concerning extraterritorial jurisdiction, cryptos and securities that has a wide range of interest subtopics in that as well.
So what the funny thing is, Robert, if you go to YouTube, and I won't show the screen, you put in Brooke Jackson, whistleblower, whatever, you get some of our stuff. You don't see anything that's more recent than 11 months. We're going to do this on YouTube, but YouTube quite clearly does not. I mean, it's not to say that the results are tailored, but the results are tailored. And so you go and you put in Brooke Jackson, whistleblower, Fizer case. You see nothing that's less than 11 months old. What's the status now? I mean, we could give the brief rundown, but what's the status, or what are the latest developments?
So, for people that don't know the full backstory, Brooke Jackson for decades had worked in the clinical trial pharmaceutical arena. And what she did was make sure clinical trials were run correctly. But to be clear, she was a big supporter of the potential benefit of vaccines and medicines. She doesn't come, like some people have lied about her, from the anti-vax community or anything like that. She was assigned to monitor the clinical trials on behalf of Ventavia, on behalf of Fizer, concerning the COVID-19 vaccine clinical trials in the fall, late summer and fall of 2020. What she witnessed shocked her. She'd never seen anything like it in her professional life. She'd never heard of anything like this occurring in her professional life. The COVID vaccine trials were so bad that you could walk in on a random day and see needles sticking out of trash bags, people's private medical information tattooed and plastered on the kitchen walls. Oh, look, so-and-so has an STD, that kind of thing. People rolling around in the hallways who aren't being monitored. People, they weren't properly doing temperature testing on the vaccine vials. That they weren't accurately reporting anything. If somebody suffered an adverse event, they were hiding it. They weren't blinding anything separate from the placebos, so you could contaminate the trial results. People were not randomly being picked. People were being paid under the table to show up at these proceedings. It was a joke. It was a disgrace. There was no way you could produce accurate information from it that could validate the safety or efficacy or even the immunization capacity of the so-called COVID vaccine. So she reported it to her superiors. She thought surely they'll step in. They realize it's a mistake. They're promising her sure something's going to happen. Then she got word back that they're like, well, we really can't do anything because this is happening at all the clinical trial testing sites. They're like, this is about speed. Trump was dumb enough for them to call the vaccine Operation Warp Speed. The one thing you should probably never do is vaccine testing at Operation Warp Speed. But Trump got suckered and railroaded into it and rolled right into it. But that's what the message was. We don't care about accuracy. We don't care about safety. If you got to doctor the data, get it through, get it done. There's a lot of money to be made.
And just some of the concrete details that I don't think come out of Brooke Jackson's whistleblower complaint, but that I've come across interviewing Maddie DeGarry's parents, they would literally not mark down as an adverse event someone who suffered an adverse event. They would exclude them from the trials after the adverse event repeatedly. And so it's basically selecting the result that you want. But what Brooke Jackson had access to was far more direct. And then she went public with it and then immediately gets sank.
Well, not yet public. So she discovers this, reports it to the bosses. The bosses come back and say, well, we've got kind of a problem. This is everywhere. This is at all the clinical trials around the world. Remember, there were trials going on in Argentina, other countries in the world, not just the United States. So she's like, but look, if they come in, they're going to shut it down anyway. So we got to fix this. We got to care about these people. We got to care about the impact of whether this is even going to work as a drug. And they're like, okay, we'll get back to you. Suddenly, she's summarily fired. She reaches out and blows the whistle to the FDA anonymously, confidentially. That same afternoon, she gets a call from Pfizer's counsel on a phone number that only the FDA's confidential, secure whistleblower line knew, which kind of startles her. So she goes out to find what's called a key tam lawyer, False Claims Act lawyer. This is the way you can seek remedy or relief if you see massive fraud going on, particularly if taxpayer dollars are involved. A New York firm gets involved. They file suit, but they file it under seal. The federal government, Justice Department, under Bill Barr, now knows about the scandal involving the COVID-19 vaccine. This is before it's been authorized, before it's been approved, before it's been paid for, and before it's going to be mandated. So all of it could have been stopped from the inception. But Attorney General Bill Barr keeps it a secret from President Trump, keeps it a secret from Republicans in the House and the Senate, keeps it a secret from the American people. Instead, the Justice Department tells Brooke Jackson, hey, we're seriously investigating. We're right about we're going to probably prosecute. We're going to shut this down. Her own law firm and experts are telling her this. But then the months keep going on. and it stays. The government says, we're seriously investigating the case. It's going to take us a lot of time. They tell the judge, the federal judge, hey, we're seriously investigating this. We've got to extend the seal, extend the seal. They keep extending it to keep it all secret for more than a year.
What year is this? This is
She files in in September of 2020, fall of 2020. And they keep it secret and sealed until 2022. So then she sees they're rolling it out for little kids. And she's watching all of this in shock and horror, wanting this vaccine to be stopped, given she knows how dangerous it is, that it's not a safe, effective drug, knowing the data is doctored, knowing they all lied, knowing that was systematic and systemic, and being promised, hey, just keep it sealed for a little bit longer because we're right about to break the case, says the government. So she starts worrying about what's going on. She reaches out to a range of people, including people that are connected to Bobby Kennedy. And Bobby Kennedy and people connected to him say, okay, you need a lawyer that's willing to expose this in full, that's willing to be confrontational when necessary with the government, not someone who's complicit. Because what's not known is a lot of key TM False Claims Act lawyers are frauds, in my opinion. What they're doing is they're really running an extortion scheme where they shake down money from the government and then often keep secret the fraud that took place on the American people. And in addition, they never want to upset the government because they want the government to take their cases. Because if the government doesn't take their cases, their odds of winning are less than 30-1, 40-1. So, Bobby Kennedy and his people had a name for her, and that name was me. So she contacted me, and I said, I suspect they have no intention of ever joining the case, no intention of ever prosecuting the case. I suspect they've been deliberately sabotaging your story and delaying it as long as possible before you could do it, before your information could be used to stop what they're doing. So she retains me. We filed to move to unseal it. We get it unsealed, and we get the information public. The British Medical Journal, one of the most well-respected publications in the country, does an independent investigation of her allegations and concludes they're absolutely accurate and raises serious, because she had evidentiary proof in a wide range of contexts. And this is before we knew a lot of things we've known over the last 2 years about how dangerous this fake vaccine is, because that's what it is, a fake vaccine. It's not even a vaccine. It doesn't inoculate or immunize against anything. And the FDA can keep changing the definition of vaccine, Orwellian like Humpty Dumpty, a word is what I say it is, as long as they want, and it won't change. It ain't a vaccine, not by any traditional medical or common or colloquial understanding of it, or legal understanding of it, or contractual understanding of it. So another good conscientious lawyer, founder of Freedom Council, Warner Mendenhall, comes from the old Labor Democratic left, by the way. But he was a big during COVID, challenging lockdowns, challenging mandates, challenging the discrimination against the vaccine and vaccine folks, people who chose not to take the vaccine, trying to find ways to sue for those who have been injured by the vaccine, expose all the frauds. Great guy, and he joins the case. Fizer comes in, demands delays in discovery, demands nothing occur until a motion to dismiss is heard. The judge goes along with him. I was critical of the judge's decision. The judge wasn't happy about some of my public criticism, but I think it was conscientious criticism. And then the judge ultimately dismissed the case first time around. We're like, well, judge, there's some key legal issues here that you might want to reconsider. And the judge, to his credit, first to his credit, he gave a real full oral argument hearing. Didn't have to do that. He did. And then he considered the reconsideration, and he said, you know what? You're right. I think whether or not this whole thing is fraud in the inducement is something that we should reopen. And he said, let's reopen that. And so then the government came in, allowed us to amend the complaint. Fizer came in and moved to dismiss. And while that was happening, the Justice Department said, oh, we would like to talk to Brooke Jackson. Like, they were real serious. They wanted to independently investigate, join the case. I said at the time, I thought that was hogwash, and they were full of it. we sent the good cop, nice guys to that meeting. So it was Warner Mendenhall and some other people. I couldn't go anyway because of my foot injury at the time, but I might have said some less kind things to the government at the meeting. So probably we're going to see whether they're on the up and up. Give them a chance. The government doesn't file any notice, any way, shape, or form. And so we file our opposition to the motion to dismiss. And this past week, the court scheduled for April a hearing. The day after that court order comes in for a hearing, we hear from the United States Department of Justice. The United States Department sends a one-sentence email. We are going to be intervening in the case and moving to dismiss it entirely. What are your thoughts on a conference? Now, Warner, he's a nice fellow. He was busy at the Vaccine Safety Research Foundation.
Actually, just to stop you there, they're going to intervene, take it over, and move to dismiss the case, drop the case that they have intervened in, which was Brooke Jackson's whistleblower case to begin with.
And
so they'll get involved to kill
being able to ever get remedy or relief against Fizer for fraud.
And now, not to like, I asked you this cynically a while back, like, what's to prevent them from intervening, if only to kill it? And that's what they're going to try to do now.
Yep. So Warner was busy at the conference, and he's more of a nice guy. He hadn't seen the email yet. So I thought, maybe I'll respond and share my initial thoughts. And my response was, I believe this is the product of corruption in your office and with the Justice Department and the Biden administration. When do you think we can schedule some discovery on that? They're not interested in that, of course. And I posted the very peculiar history of this Justice Department attorney who got assigned this case. So she wasn't the U.S. attorney always assigned the case. She was at a different agency a few years before. And before that was working for big law for a rather interesting industry. Appears her husband's connected to the same industry. So it turns out this new Justice Department attorney that's taken over the Brooke Jackson case, that's moving to cover it all up forever and prevent and prohibit recovery from ever occurring on behalf of the American people, and derailing a case that could allow injured individuals to separately sue because of the fraud that could have been detailed and demonstrated, and could have been used to change legislation in the country as well to get relief and remedy for the injured, and create a fund that Brooke Jackson was going to set aside for the vaccine injured. All of that now could be taken away by this one Justice Department attorney. And I was like, I wonder who this ringer is. And you research her, and guess what agency she was at between 2019 and 2021?
CDC?
The Food and Drug Administration. They're in the Enforcement Council. She was part of the original corruption that her intervention is now, the Justice Department's intervention now helps cover up. If that isn't a conflict of interest, I don't know what is. But the conflict of interest goes deeper. Her and other people close to her have spent their entire lives working for big pharma, either directly or indirectly for big firms. She even worked for a company that claims an economic interest in the Fizer vaccine. So you're talking about someone who can enrich herself by her involvement in this case. So I just pointed out a few of these facts on social media, and all I did was linked her LinkedIn profile. Well, within 5 minutes, people were curious. Is Barnes right? We'll take a look at this. And they could see it right there in the LinkedIn profile. That what I was saying is right there. Boom, 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 boom. All of a sudden, her LinkedIn profile vanished within 5 minutes. That had to be a record government deletion.
Did you archive it, or had it been archived?
Well, of course I did. The government is doing now. I can tell you, because of the Supreme Court's ruling a year ago, it's going to be extremely difficult to overcome what the government is doing. However, there is some legal standards that are novel precedent in this context.
I'm just looking up here, Robert. I pulled up members of Congress invested in Fizer Inc., and we got left and right.
So it's not just that Fizer invest in them; they invest in Fizer. Look at those conflict.
One dude's got he's got between 1 and 5 million. Who the heck is Jim Sensenbrenner? Okay, I just wanted to bring that up. It's
He's
from Open Secrets
from Wisconsin.
Oh, okay.
So a conservative from Wisconsin. right? Another one of those. And so, but if you look at the legal standard, in order to move to intervene, particularly in a Ketam case, you have to do so in good faith and have good cause. To me, that opens the door to all the corruption and conflict of interest that exist here. Because traditionally, when the government intervenes belatedly, they do so because there's been a radical change of facts that make it highly unlikely there will be any positive recovery and a much more likelihood that they'll bear an undue expense.
And I had asked you this at the time. I think the answer was they could intervene whenever, but there's no limitation on when they can intervene. They can intervene a day before the judge issues a judgment.
The Supreme Court's 2022 decision.
Okay.
There was a good argument that they had 60 days and then they were out.
Mm-hmm.
And the Supreme Court came in and said, no, can't do that. You know, that sort of thing. But the Supreme Court did have a couple of carve-outs, which was one, they still have to prove good faith before they can intervene. Not only that, they're not allowed to move to dismiss until they are granted the right to intervene. So that's threshold number one. Threshold number two is they still have to present a reasonable argument as to why it is dismissal is in the interest of justice itself under Rule 41A of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure.
I'm just bringing up, we got a lot of trolls in the chat, Barnes, who are impugning intentions, which is always the sign of a troll.
Over probably Trump Kennedy, I guess.
Well, it's in general, but it doesn't matter. There's a lot of people who it's a good sign, Robert. It means we're reaching new audiences. Okay, sorry.
That's really fun. And people are always gonna, people got their backs up when I said, and we talked about Lynn Wood as Lynn Sanity. They got their backs up. We said Sidney Powell's gone off the res on the election issues. They got their backs up when they said Trump was wrong on the lockdowns. They got their backs up when I said the vaccine was a bad idea and that Trump was wrong on it. They got their backs up when I said Trump could lose thanks to the lockdowns and everything that was happening with the election issues due to mail-in voting. They got their backs up during a lot of times. They got their backs up. Remember how we were Putin apologists. When you get in your rusky hat, when we said the Ukraine war is not going to go so well. Tell us who's been right. If anybody out there wants to bet against me, have at it. I just don't recommend it. But people should look back at that track record before they second guess the wisdom or the intentions of the course of conduct here. But in this context, we have grounds to object to the motion to intervene, grounds to object to the dismissal, that there isn't a reasonable argument to be made. And in particular, when they delay their dismissal request, they're supposed to show new evidence and facts. And of course, all the new evidence and facts favor our position. There's no question of the dangers of the vaccine. There's no doubts about the deception and fraud that Fizer engaged in on the American people. We have attorney generals bringing suit on these grounds. We got state grand juries open on these grounds in Florida and in Texas. We got congressmen seeking removing immunity on these grounds, like Chip Roy in the House of Representatives. We have people resisting the attempts to inject this into food through cattle and plants, like Congressman Massey and farmers like Amos Miller, in part on these grounds. So it's not like they can come in and be honest and say, hey, judge, we thought you would dismiss the case, but now we're scared Brooke Jackson's going to win. And we're so terrified we can't even let you rule on the motion to dismiss that's pending. We can't risk that any discovery ever gets ordered in this case because it would expose the individual Department of Justice attorney bringing the motion in the name of the people. It would expose the Justice Department engaging in fraud throughout this case. It would expose the Justice Department and the Food and Drug Administration's complicity and culpability with Big Pharma in general, but also especially as to this case. It would expose the Biden administration in the heart of an election. They can't say that. So we're going to say they don't have a reasonable argument because they don't. And the new evidence supports us. But that's not it. Procedurally, they are required to provide notice and a hearing. It's never been fully figured out. What does that mean? Well, my view is it's an evidentiary hearing. We should be entitled to subpoena the records of the Biden White House. We should be entitled to subpoena the records of the Justice Department. We should be entitled to subpoena the records of the Food and Drug Administration. We should be entitled to subpoena the records of Fizer. We should be entitled to subpoena the records of everything that could prove collusion and corruption and complicity by the Biden administration, the Justice Department, and the FDA in the illicit, fraudulent nature of this vaccine. Just because they're enriching themselves off defrauding the American people does not entitle them to deny the American people's right to remedy. And then last but not least, put in a footnote in that Supreme Court opinion, listed in the dissent of Justice Thomas, there are constitutional issues implicated here. The government there's due process rights that are being implicated here. There's equal protection rights that are implicated here. There's First Amendment issues implicated here. So we are going to litigate. This will be the most litigated motion to intervene in the history of key TAM cases. And maybe the judge will allow it. Maybe he won't. Maybe we have to go up on appeal. Maybe we have to fight it out 100 different ways. But however it's done, the lessons of Dylan Thomas are still true, which is do not go gently into that good night. Rage against the dying of the light. Just like one of the eternal truths at vivabarneslaw.locals.com is never forgive, never forget, hold the line. And Brooke Jackson is eager to do so, and we are eager to do so on her behalf.
Now, before we head over to Rumble, when is the hearing on the government's intervention or motion to intervene?
Not yet scheduled, because the the judge had scheduled the hearing on Fizer's motion to dismiss, which it's now apparent. Like the politically smart, astute thing for the government is to wait to see what the judge rules. Mm-hmm. Because if the judge dismisses it, they never have to show their hand. They never have to expose, like, for example, they told the court for a year, the Justice Department, that they were doing such serious they said this under penalty of perjury as statements of oath as officers to the court. They said that they were seriously investigating the case and needed more time. I want to see, what did they do in that year? How much you want to bet they did no investigation?
Well, no, I think they might have done even more than no investigation. They might have been covering their tracks and telling people not to talk.
The investigation, detouring the investigation, making sure no other whistleblowers got the courage to speak up and speak out. So during this time period, weird things were happening. Brooke Jackson would open her mail related to this topic, and the mail had already been opened before she did. She got to it. So what else was involved? So were they as culpable and complicit as our next topic, Big Fani Willis?
No. Oh, that'll be the alluring. Everyone come on over to Rumble if you want to talk Big Fani. Holy shit. Robert, did you know the Oscars are on tonight? That's how
we got some free bets on it at sportspicks.locals.com.
It's so irrelevant. I used to watch it religiously, print out the sheets, have a party. I didn't even know. Okay, link to Rumble, and everyone's got the link to Locals. Come on over there. Oh, there was a big chat here. Rumble rant. Robert Barnes is speaking the truth. Listen to what he's saying regarding vaccinations and COVID. Terrifying, Michael, registered nurse. Why do I have Winston Shittenhouse? Why are you going to try to get me in trouble here? And I've been told, can verify Cuber Nazis and Lambada nerd talk, not jokes. Okay, ending on YouTube. Coming over to Rumble. Then we're going to go over to Locals afterwards. If you're not coming, I'll see you tomorrow. You guys get the leftovers. Someone had asked why I'm not posting the entire stream all the time on YouTube the next day. When we go an hour, I don't want to post an hour of what everyone's already seen, so I post clips. So it's not for any other reason. Nothing sinister. It's just if there's been a lot there, I don't want to post the entire thing again. So, all right, ending on YouTube. Come on over. Rumble. And we need to get to 30,000.